This is the Automotive Talent Show, hosted by Cameron Creswell, bringing you conversations with people shaping the automotive industry across Australia, New Zealand and beyond. Each episode explores career journeys, business stories and real insights into the market, the challenges, the shifts and what's happening on the ground right now. This is Automotive Talent. Let's begin.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Automotive Talent Show. In this week's episode, my guest is Kieran Stack from Service 101. Kieran is pretty well known, but if you don't know Kieran, his expertise is definitely around the after-sales department and, more importantly, supporting service departments and service advisors in their day-to-day. If you're an after-sales manager, service advisor, fixed operations, general manager, dealer principal, OEM person, it really doesn't matter what your background is. I am sure you're actually going to get some great value from this episode. So buckle up and get ready for everything that Kieran can give. All right. Welcome to the Automotive Talent Show, Kieran Stack. Thanks for taking the time to have a chat with me today, mate.
Good to see you, Cameron. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's always a pleasure to catch up with you, mate. We've known each other for a fair duration of time, and yeah, always feel like I learn something new every time I chat to you. So appreciate you taking the time.
And I'm glad you can understand me, Cameron. That's a good start for most people.
Well, I'm fluent, mate, fluent. But for those that don't know Kieran Stack, who is Kieran Stack? Tell us where you come from.
I come from a little town on the west coast of Ireland. You'll notice by now I've got a bit of an accent, Cam, and you've known this for a while. And I made my way to Australia in 2013. With my Aussie wife and settled down here, and Australia's been very good to me. Having studied in Ireland and worked in Ireland with different dealerships, made my way over here and worked at many dealerships in my first 7 or 8 years here. Made my way into training because that's what I wanted to be when I grew up, was a teacher. My parents wanted me to be a teacher, and because they were teachers, 3 of my siblings are teachers, and I was the car guy, and it's kind of gone full circle where I've been inspired by certain people along my journey to go, do you know what? Maybe you should help people be better at what they do. And my dad was a coach. My dad was a trainer. He was a teacher. And yeah, I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And made my way into training with BMW Group in 2019. Worked there for a couple of years. And then COVID hit. So I took the option to go out on my own. And when I say option, some of these things are forced on you. And it's been 5.5 years now working for myself. And as you know, Cameron, these things don't come easy, but I've been blessed with opportunities. But I pride myself on bringing value, bringing innovation, bringing ideas, and bringing mindset and skill set change to specifically the service department. And again, Service 101 didn't come off the idea of something random. It came off the fundamentals, the basics. Do them 100% of the time, every time, and you'll get predictable outcomes. And that's what I pride myself on. There's nothing that I'm going to share today that's probably going to be like something totally brand new to people, but it's a reminder of, hey, if you do these standards over and over and over, have these disciplines in place over and over and over, you're going to get predictable results. And that's what my clients get me back again and again, and venture into others as well. So here we are.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, naturally, you're a byproduct of experiences and DNA, right? Like, you know, we all are that. And you know, having your parents as teachers, you starting off in the industry, and then all of a sudden it getting thrown into the melting pot and blended all together, isn't a surprise, and also a big surprise all at the same time, isn't it?
Every day I'm surprised.
Well, yeah, 100%. Yeah, for many reasons.
Indeed.
For many reasons, for sure. Yeah. I think even before Service 101 was born, we were talking about it, right? And I think, and no doubt, everyone that you would have spoken to about Service 101 all would have been, you know, Kieran, that's a great idea. I wish someone had done this. You know, someone needs to do this. You know, and so they're the kind of discussions that give you the confidence to say, maybe I should do it. You know, everyone's telling me I should do it. No one's saying not do it. But then, working for yourself, starting your own business, I always say it's the ultimate personality test disguised as a job, isn't it? Right? Because it's well,
you work 24/7, 365, and you still don't get paid, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Sign me up.
That's right. I had a mate of mine say, he doesn't work in automotive, but he said, I've never worked so hard for so little. But
if it's in your blood, you pursue it, right? And just on that, we did speak back in 2021. We started to connect, and again, you your podcast was out then as well from memory, or it was during COVID, but we connected. You're bringing a lot of value to the industry as well, Cameron. So please know that, and we respect it massively. And you've
Oh,
been very
thank
good
you,
to me,
mate.
and I appreciate your encouragement throughout. But again, Service 101, you referred to it kind of as a bit of a noun or earlier on, and in many ways I refer to it as a verb. But it's many things, and again,
Mm.
you know, because we talk about it all the time, but maybe a listener might not know it either. But I run a training company where I go into dealerships and or OEMs, and I train in classroom, or I train or coach on the fly, as in on at the service advisor's desk, help the service manager with their problems, run around with a fire extinguisher. I don't call myself a consultant. I actually despise the word consultant because it means you're going to come in and tell people how they should do their jobs and walk away. I'm literally someone who's done this, done all these roles and know them intimately. I will never classify myself as an expert, because if you think you're an expert, you're at your limit. I'm not, and I love learning,
Yeah.
and I love the guests you've had on as well, Cameron, where you're just like, that's a nugget, that's an idea, that's a suggestion. But like I said, I don't class myself as a consultant. I class myself as an insultant. I tell people that they need to know but don't want to hear. And I do it
Yes.
in such a way that they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And if I don't do this, this is going to happen. Yeah, mate. If you don't do this, this is going to happen. Right. I better do it then. Good idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the
100%.
philosophy on that. And as a result of the training, the support services, the coaching, we can touch on this later on, but this isn't the purpose of this conversation. But you're aware that I'm building software, and I've got a lot of things that I'm working through on that. Again, a lot of it is a little bit covert at the moment, but there's some really, really cool things coming that are going to revolutionize the industry. And when I tell people little snippets of it, and I say, imagine a digital service department, imagine a paperless service department, that's what's coming. And if there's people that want to get on board with that, reach out to me ahead of time. But otherwise, let's just get on with the conversation and see if we can give some people some strategies today and have some fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But what I respect about you, mate, is, and I don't want this to sound like a mutual appreciation society podcast, but your experience base, you've got a fair bit of experience in the Aussie market at the moment. You obviously grew up in the UK market.
You mean the Irish market, my
you've-
friend? I'm not from the UK.
Sorry, I stands corrected.
And I did like
but
England losing this morning. But that's a different story.
That's a different story. Yes,
You've lost half your listeners.
So we're recording this on the morning that England lost the semi-final. But you've covered across many brands as well, but you've also worked obviously in retail and OEM land. So your perspective is more complete perspective when it comes to a day in the life. You can speak to it out of practical as well as laboratory and classroom and everything in between. And even today, I know the people that you talk to on a daily and are in the program, interested in the program, are everyone from an individual service advisor wanting to upskill themselves all the way through to a service manager, a dealership group, an OEM. So, even today you're getting that exposure, but, you're also working across multiple markets as well. So we're not even talking about just Australia. We're talking about other markets. You've got this real holistic viewpoint of what the pain points and what the latest and best practice looks like in a service department, which I think gives you a unique perspective.
I appreciate that, and you're spot on. Whether it's Southeast Asia, New Zealand, the US, Ireland, little bit in the UK online, but it's the same. It's the same stuff everywhere, Cameron. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what country it's in. Doesn't matter what city it's in. And I've heard the excuse many, many times that our market is different, or our town is different, or our brand is different. I'm like, man, it doesn't matter if I'm working for a Chinese import, a Japanese product that's been around for many years, a German prestige vehicle, or something that's supercar. It doesn't matter. It's the same principles that we work on.
Yeah,
principles over and over.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think anyone that doesn't understand that probably needs to look into it further, right? And even to a point which no doubt we'll touch on with technology and AI and all the rest of it. At the end of the day, if you think about it, it still actually fundamentally goes back to the biggest thing that differentiates a good service experience to an average one is your level of communication, right? Basically, fundamentally. And I see that technology as only enhancing that piece. Would you agree with that?
I wouldn't disagree with that, Cameron. I wouldn't disagree with that. With that said, I'm in dealerships every day, and I see the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I see ideas. I see the way people use things. I see a lot of things. And the majority of our service advisors now are non-technical, as in they didn't come from the floor. 15 years ago, 90% of service advisors in Australia were technicians they came off the tools. 90%.
Yeah, they couldn't technique anymore.
Potentially, yeah. And they thought the front would be easier, right?
Yeah.
And we haven't got that. Since COVID, the exodus of service advisors has been significant. Significant. We've seen a 60-odd% turnover of service advisors every year. 60%. And 75% of them now are non-technical. Now, someone might go on, like, where are you getting this data from? This data, some of it's from NADA, and some of it's from my own experience, where I'm like, I'm in classrooms or I'm in dealerships, and I'm picking off people and going, this person isn't technical, are they? No, they didn't come off the tools. What's their background? Hospitality, retail, school.
Yep.
And this is what I said to someone recently, that so many service departments or service managers or dealer principals, they are no longer hiring for heartbeat. They're hiring for pulse. And if that person's got a pulse, they get a job, but they don't have to have a heart. They don't have to have empathy. They don't have to have a care factor. And it's just a job to them. In the role of a service advisor, and there was a massive argument online with this comment that I made recently. You might have seen that one. People went nuts over it. And I said that the service advisor role is not the hardest job in the dealership. Now, did I do that for certain reasons? Potentially. But I cannot advocate that job is the hardest. Because guess what? If we advocate, or if we say that job is the hardest, guess who's going to queue up for it? Absolutely nobody. Absolutely nobody. And so where are we going to get our people from? Well, we'll get them in for 6 months, then they leave. And the reason why they leave is not because the job is, inverted commas, too hard, Cameron. It's because they're not trained. They're not equipped. They get what I call is the 3 C's of service advisor training. Cameron, do you know what the 3 C's of service advisor training are?
One's a chair.
It is. Second one?
One's a computer.
And the third one?
See you later, mate.
See you later, mate. So there's your computer, there's your chair. See you later. If you need me, I'm in my office. Figure it out for yourself. And you're thrown in front of 10, 15, 20 customers a day, and you're expected to survive. And then what happens is they look at their pay slip and they look at the amount of hours that they work, and they're like, this isn't worth it. This isn't worth it. I will say this forever. If you service advise for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, you will learn more skills as a service advisor than you will as a lawyer, as a nurse, as a doctor, as a psychologist. Maybe not a psychologist, but you're at the same level because you're dealing with the good news, the bad news, the wins, the losses, the learnings, the upsets, the stresses, but also the dopamine that you can get as a result of helping someone get an outcome, helping someone to take care of their car. It's so rewarding, but we don't see it like that. And we spoke about this previously many, many times. You've heard me preach about it, that so many people think that they're in the transaction game as opposed to the relationship game. And there's 2 things that service advisors need to do in their role is to help customers to want to come back, service their car again and again and again. And what happens when they service their car for 3 or 4 years, Cameron?
They just miraculously turn up and go buy a car again, don't they?
Crazy idea. And this is why NPS, CSI, customer happiness is so critical to OEMs. And dealerships hate it. Oh, the survey. The survey score is the greatest predictor of you actually having that business in your PMA in 5 years' time. Because right now, if you're off your customers, they ain't coming back. So you're not going to have customers to sell a car to in 5 years' time. Think about it. Like, we operate end of month. It's nuts. And the other thing, I said there was 2 things. The first thing is help customers to want to come back again and again and again and buy the next car. And the second thing is to sell 100% of what the car needs or could benefit from 100% of the time. And this is where, and I'll use this once in this conversation and only once. And I hear it every single day from service departments, service managers, service advisors, controllers, technicians, and it's the upward. You know what the upward is?
Yeah. I don't even like saying it myself, to be fair.
It's puke wordy. Now, we don't tell our customers that we're upselling them, right? We don't tell them we're upselling them. But when we operate in the mindset that we are upselling them, it's so inappropriate. I had a call yesterday with a group, and some of them are English second language in Australia. And when they're English second language, it means that their first language is not English. Obviously.
Kind of like you, really.
To be sure. And then from there, he started talking about how, and I've got the notes here beside me, he said, they're asking us to upsell and to push these products, and I don't really want to sell things that the people don't need. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What is this word that you're using? Upsell. Like, I said, what does it mean? And he goes, to sell things that the car doesn't need. And I'm like, not necessarily. Because when you put the label, and again, communication, language patterns, psychology, neuro-linguistic programming, it's not semantics. It's words. Like, the words you use decide how someone interprets it. It's called language. G-U-A-G-E means gauge, to go, to what level do I understand or interpret this information? Because if it doesn't make sense, they're not going to say yes. And if we're operating with a mindset of what's in it for me, i.e. upsell, it's the wrong mindset. And we're training and we're endorsing and we are promoting this sort of nonsense. And it's nonsense. And if we operate in a mindset of, hey, this car could benefit from, hey, your vehicle needs, hey, have you thought about this? Because not getting it done can cause this to happen. Which would you prefer? Suddenly you're not pushing stuff on people. You're putting them into an awareness that, geez, I'd be crazy not to get this, wouldn't I? You would. Okay, cool. Do you have it in your own car? Yes, I do. As opposed to, hey, it's just a recommendation. It's just a recommendation. The technician is recommending, which is all push, push, push. And if anyone takes anything away from this, it's the removal of the word recommendation from your entire dialogue with our customers. And I can assure you that there'll be people listening now going, no, we need to use that word. You don't. We need to stop pushing stuff on people and start putting them into an awareness of what would happen if they don't get something done.
Yeah.
In service, and again, I'll share this because it's so important that are you familiar with FFB? FFB
No.
or FAB in sales
FAB.
psychology?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So feature advantage benefit.
Benefit, yeah.
So there's FAB, feature advantage benefit, or FFB, feature function benefit. Now, I don't talk about feature function benefit in my training. I refer to it and put a big X through it and go, this is a load of nonsense. All right. There's no benefit to getting anything done on these vehicles. And people will go, but there is. I said, there's no benefit to getting your brake pads done. So I'm going to ask you the question, Cameron. Again, we haven't done this in the past, but so what are the benefits of getting your brake pads done when they're due to get done, that they're down to 2 mil?
Well, the benefit is that if you neglect getting your brake pads done when they're down to that kind of measurement, is that you will reach a point, if you don't get them done, that you won't be able to stop. So,
what could happen then?
A pretty critical one. Well, you'll either hurt somebody, or yourself. So, yeah, it becomes a pretty critical thing.
And worst case scenario?
Well, worst case scenario, you mortally drop off this coil or do that to somebody else, isn't it? So,
oh, wow. So I better get them done, hey?
Well, that's my advice. I wouldn't want to suffer that or have to live with the consequences of that for sure.
So for the small investment of only $378 today, including parts, labor, GST, no more to pay, we can ensure that your vehicle is taken care of and that you've got the peace of mind that your car is still the same brand that it came in here as, and that you and your livelihood and your family are sustained for at least another 80,000 kilometers. How good's that? And they'll say, take my money.
Sounds like a very, very quick and
Absolutely.
very easy decision to make, doesn't it?
Absolutely it is. Because we don't sell on feature, function, benefit, feature, advantage, benefit. It's a load of nonsense. In sales, when you're selling something tangible and something that someone wants, absolutely. Because when you have an iPhone, right? If you're normal like me and have an iPhone, a feature of an iPhone is that it's got a quick button here on the side to access the camera. And the function of that is it will allow in certain situations that you can open the camera extremely quickly. That's the function. And the benefit to you is that you will never miss an opportunity to share an experience with your people or with your family or with your friends. Like, that's pretty cool. That's a feature function benefit. It's a tangible item. But you didn't give me a benefit to getting my brakes done, Cameron. And this is, again, these are learning opportunities for everyone to go, we've been thinking about it all wrong. Don't get me wrong, I didn't pull these things out of my hat. No. A lot of the stuff behind me on this is not an AI generated background. Like, you don't become a trainer by accident. You don't become excellent at what you do by accident. You have to invest in the thing between your brain or between your ears, which is your brain, and the skills pay the bills, right? My point around this is that if we can understand human psychology or be on a journey towards improving it, we get more influence. We can generate better outcomes, not just for ourselves, but for other people as well. And if you have a Toyota, keeping that customer's Toyota a Toyota and not an aftermarket vehicle is your job as a service advisor. So where am I going with this? We don't sell FFB. We sell FFC. So what do you reckon the C stands for, Cameron?
Consequences?
Consequences. So what will happen if you don't replace your brake pads? You will die.
There's consequences.
It's consequent. Now, again, you said mortally fall off the planet. That was very cool.
Yes.
But we've got dealerships right now, and I've got dealerships right now that last month they quoted 100 brake fluids, and they sold 20 brake fluids out of the 100 that they reported. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to tell you who that is or where that is, but I will. If you are going on holidays anytime soon, I will advise you to not go to a specific city and be conscious of certain vehicles because they may have overdue brake fluid. So, Cameron, what will happen if you don't replace your brake fluid when it's due? What could happen if you don't replace your brake fluid when it's due? Well,
quite easily. It's the same as your brake pads, isn't it? The thing doesn't stop. It compromises the integrity of the systems of the vehicle, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When you've
Spot on. And what will happen then? Well, what could happen then in the event of an emergency
same
braking
as
situation?
that's right. Yeah, same situation, isn't it? You
So
either
whose
harm
job is it?
yourself.
So whose job is it to help the customer to say yes to these repairs and maintenance?
It's the advisors. You know,
The advisor.
the
And
hint
this is where,
is in the name, isn't it?
yes and no, and I'll go down that route for a second, right? And this is where, and again, there will be disagreements. And guess what? You can email me. I won't reply. If you disagree, it's fine.
Yeah. My email is Kieran.
I get hired for this. I get hired for the purpose of helping dealerships make more money legitimately, not upselling. And this is where I actually shorten it. It's even quicker if you actually just use the word sell. And this is where service advisors are not service advisors. They're not there to just advise and recommend and report. Okay. Are they? Yes, that is part of their responsibility. Okay. But it's the next part that they forget. And this is where people will go, oh, I don't want to be a salesperson, because there's an association with salespeople as being sleazy, inappropriate, and doing it for themselves. But then we put the label upsell on everything that we do, and we call a fuel injection, a wheel alignment, a tire, a set of brake pads and brake fluid all upsell. They're not upsells. They're 100% of what the car needs or could benefit from, and that's your job to sell that 100% of the time. But then if we shorten the word upsell to the word sell, we still can't define that. And I pride myself on curating a specific terminology for what selling is in the service department. And I'm going to dialogue that once and only once. And if people want to rewind it, or they've got subtitles on YouTube, you're more than welcome to screenshot it. But selling is as simple as helping, okay? When you operate in a mindset of, I'm here to help you, I'm here to serve you, I'm here to take care of you, it's a totally different psychology, as opposed to, I'm here to take all your money and rip you off and take advantage of you. And it's a one-night stand, and I don't care if I never see you again, because all I'm in it for is today and myself. That is nonsense. You're going to churn and burn not just your customers, but your service advisors, and it needs to stop. Okay, so selling is helping people to make informed buying decisions by creating compelling messages that help them say yes. So I said it's informed buying decisions. So Cameron, again, this is like a training session. It's awesome. This is my favorite thing to do ever, right? So it's not just a matter of saying, hey, your car needs brake pads. It's $587. Do you want to get that done today? That's not selling. That's telling. There's a very big difference. It's your job to help the customer make an informed buying decision. So whose job is it to inform them, Cameron?
Well, the advisor, isn't it?
The advisor. And this is where the advisor says, hey, your car needs a control arm. And the customer's like, what's a control arm?
Yeah.
It's an arm that controls the car. So cool. Or what's a wheel alignment? It's an alignment of your wheels. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So what's brake fluid? It's fluid for your brakes. And this is where, again, we spoke about software earlier on. I have software that I've built that uses AI to help non-technical people become expert communicators literally in one day. It takes the guesswork away, and it helps them to be hyper confident right away. And I get that question all the time. Oh, I need my people to be more confident. Well, give them what to say. And that's the gap. The gap is that they don't know what to say. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to construct sentences that get agreement. And then, and I'll come back to what we started out at the start of a communication, because it'll all tie in. But it's the service advisor's job to help the customer make an informed buying decision, not a decision to say no.
Sales decision. Yeah.
The right decision, which is to keep their Toyota or their BMW.
Yeah.
By creating a compelling message. So Cameron, when you think of the word compel or to compel someone, what does that mean?
Well, you're influencing, aren't you?
You are influencing. Yes, exactly, influencing. You're the opposite.
But you high probability of educating and changing someone's perspective if they're
because guess how many people know what a control arm is? Not many.
Yeah.
How many people know what
anyone that's been in and around the workshop, maybe, but anyone outside of that, even someone on the sales floor will probably struggle pointing out where the control arm is, right?
But then we will just go, hey, your car needs this. Off you go. And I'll make it even worse for you in a moment. And I'm trying to open people's minds and eyes to this stuff. It's starting to get worse and worse and worse. I'm seeing it everywhere. And I'll come back to what that is in just a moment. But a compelling message is that, hey, Cameron, if you don't get this done, this can happen. That's a compelling message. If you don't get your brake fluid done today, in the event of an emergency braking situation, your vehicle may not stop as well as it should. Hence why the manufacturer's got an interval for it. And you're looking at $99 to get that done today, or $187 to get that done today. And we can ensure that your car is as it should be. Does that make sense? It does. Great. We'll organize that one for you, and we'll still have it ready for you for 4:30. How does that sound? Sounds great. Thank you so much. See you later. and you've sold the work. You've sold it because you've influenced them. And this is, I love that you use that word, because there's a fine line between investing and gambling. And there's a fine
Yes.
line between influence and manipulation. And the difference between influence and manipulation in dialogue, and specifically in sales, is that with influence, you're trying to help the customer legitimately. When you're trying to manipulate them, all the customer can smell is your commission breath. You know what
Yes.
commission breath is, Cameron?
Yeah.
All you're trying to do is sell me. And
It's
I don't
usually
like
it's usually Rothmans Super Mild mixed with Lynx Africa and Peppermint Extra. Yeah.
There you go. And they'll probably have a Monster Energy or a Red Bull or a V on their desk as well.
I forgot the Monster / Red Bull.
And again, and just on that, and I'll touch on all these things, because I go to dealerships, and when I see service advisors having a Red Bull or a V, and again, the OEMs do not promote any of these brand partnerships. They don't allow for the product placement of these energy drinks in the department. Yet you go into most of these service departments, and you will see an energy drink. So Cameron, why do our service advisors, who are predominantly now in their 20s, late 20s, early 30s, why do they drink energy drinks?
I think my answer that I want to give is because unfortunately they're so burnt out that they're dead behind the eyes and they need the stimulation. But
so I'll give you my perspective on it, and it's that I think they've been conned into an awareness that this thing is tastier than coffee, and it becomes addictive. Okay, that's my perspective on that. Again, my opinion.
Yeah, that would
if you
be
disagree
right.
with it, that's fine too. Send me an email. I won't answer. But I'm joking. But what happens if you walked into a dealership with your, as in not an aftermarket, but a dealership where the expectations are higher than the aftermarket, okay? You walk in and you see the service advisor behind has got a can of energy drink on their desk. What does it presuppose, or what does it suggest to you as a customer?
Yeah, well, it says many things. I think overall it says to me that this person is not capable of making great life choices as far as their nutrition is concerned. So therefore, There's
that, and then, and I agree with you on that. And then there's part of it is that they're stressed, they're overworked, they're in hyper mode, and they need a kick to keep them going.
They need stimulation to be able to do their job. They're not stimulated naturally. Yeah.
Spot on. And as a result of that, the customer's interpretation is, I'm going to get rushed here. I'm not going to get their full attention. I didn't expect this, because you don't walk into Macca's or a 5-star hotel or a servo and see the person behind having a can of Red Bull or Monster Energy on their desk. It just doesn't happen.
Good point.
But for some reason in automotive, we endorse it, we promote it. It's wild out there. It really is. So if someone gets a takeaway from this, is to remove that mindset. They don't need it, first of all. Yes, coffee is caffeine as well. That is being socially accepted, granted. But put the bloody can into a stubby holder, a branded stubby holder, and at least it's something. All right, that's my perspective on that. Let's go back to our conversation about the consequence. So it's not FFB, it's FFC, feature, function, consequence. What will happen if you don't get this done? And death is a byproduct of the majority of what we sell in the service department is preventative maintenance. Death, or early failure, or a random situation that can occur. That's my perspective on it. And we don't want to wait around for these things to happen, hence why the manufacturer usually has a interval for it. Now, you heard me earlier on say that service advisors are not service advisors. They're, in fact, salespeople. I'll say that covertly, that they're salespeople. And it's your job to help that customer to make informed buying decisions by creating compelling messages that help the customer says, I'd be crazy not to get this, wouldn't I? Yes, you would. But it's your decision. It's your decision. Yep. But like you said, it's the influence over manipulation. Stop pushing, start pulling, stop recommending, start helping. That's my perspective. Now, the initial question, Cameron, was communication has always been the most important thing, but technology has evolved. And you do know as well as I know that I have been an endorser of communication strategies that suit the customer. When I was advising, we had two, kind of, but we had one main source of outbound communication, which was this thing, the phone, right? You pick up the phone and you call off a landline and you leave a voicemail and you'd say to the controller, oh, I left a voicemail, or, oh, the customer hasn't responded, or they haven't rang me back. Or the customer's rang back 5 times and no one's picked up the phone because we're trying to call out. Yes. So to remedy that, SMS has been a massive gateway. The modernization and I guess the cost effectiveness of SMS has been a huge factor in that.
Yeah.
And it's easy. Now, the problem with SMS for a younger generation of advisor is concerning. And I'll use the word concerning because everyone will use it slightly differently, but I'm seeing more people use it the same way than I'd like the sound of or like the look of. So what I'm seeing out there at the moment is because 75% of our service advisors are non-technical, they don't know what to say. And you can't just pick up a phone and say, "Hi, Cameron, your car needs EGR cooler. It's $1,858.38. Let me know if you want to get it done." The customer goes, "What's an EGR cooler?
Yes.
Why has that happened? What would happen if I don't get it done? When will it be ready?" You can't do that on the phone. You have to have your ducks in a row. So what service advisors will do is they'll open a system and they'll type in a word, EGR cooler, cracked, leaking, smelly, dirty, worn, whatever, not just for EGR cooler, but for any component.
Yeah.
They'll write one freaking word and they'll
Yeah.
send it to the customer. And these service advisors are what I call quoters, texters, and hopers. Guess what, guys? That's not service advising. Never has been, never will be.
I'll
watch
give
anyway.
you one for that. Spray and pray.
Spray and pray. I like that. I'm going to write that one down. Right? Spray and pray.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
It's a spray and pray, and it's not good enough. And this is where, as well. So going back to the U word, they get paid a commission on what they sell, but they're leaving it up to absolute chance that the customer says yes. Now, I'm happily married, and I didn't grow up in a generation of online dating. Okay, I actually had to talk to her and get her to
old school
like me. Yeah. A couple of Guinness and you're sweet, right?
Yes, that's right.
And my point around this is that, and I've never used a dating app, just for clarity in case my wife's listening, but I've seen them, and it's a matter of going swipe, and you might swipe left or right, whatever it is. I don't use them, so
spray and pray.
Contradict me. It's a spray and play, spray and pray. Now the thing about it is, Cameron, and we're not going to use that term for what I'm going to refer to, because if you do, it will be inappropriate.
We'll have to put a badge on this podcast, but we won't.
Watch out. All right. Yes. But when you walk up to a person of interest and you go, "Hi, I'm Kieran. What's your name? Nice to meet you. Can I buy you a drink?" Now, Cameron, you probably wouldn't have had the volume of rejection that I've had in my life. Okay, you're good looking like yourself.
I think I can educate you on that offline, mate. But yeah,
okay, cool. That's a separate course you're on, is it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But you would have to verbally receive the rejection. And the thing about rejection is rejection hurts. And the number one fear of people, generally speaking, is rejection. They don't like rejection because it hurts you.
Yeah, they don't want to let people down. Yeah.
Well, it's not about letting people down, by the way. It's receiving the big fat no.
Yeah.
And as I said to Cameron,
tough conversations. Yeah.
You wouldn't be used to that, like I would.
You're right. Yeah.
But when you receive the word no, it hurts you, as in verbally hurts you, because it hurts the brain differently than the spray and pray, where you're like, I've sent 20 expressions of interest to these potential future partners on a dating website, and none of them responded. But guess what? They ghosted me, but it didn't hurt me because I didn't hear the rejection. I didn't hear it. And this is where the quoters senders or quoters texters and hopers, they don't receive the rejection. They don't hear it. And as a result, they don't get better. And they're becoming, and I've seen this everywhere, that service advisors are becoming admin staff and not salespeople like their true function is. Now, I will get people on this call who will go, "I don't agree with you that they're salespeople." That's fine. You stay in your 80% utilization all you like, mate, and you won't achieve what your potential is, or you'll just do service work with one-line job cards. Forget about it. It's just not appropriate. If you're not selling wheel alignments to vehicles every 10,000 Ks, you're missing out on a huge opportunity. And this is where, actually, Cameron, what will happen if you don't get a wheel alignment done every 10,000
Well,
Ks?
funnily enough, your vehicle performance when it comes to things like stopping, etc., is compromised. But also, you're accelerating the wear in your tires, which would obviously increase the investment into tires, doesn't it?
So how much is a wheel alignment today? Let's say 149. Yeah.
Yeah. 150, 200, depending. Yeah.
Yeah. So I encourage people to not have round figures for these menu priced items.
Yes.
Not a 99 or a 200. It sounds like you made it up because you did.
Yeah.
But more like a 148 or a 168 or something like that. It's more non-made up, and that's just a tip for people.
Yeah.
Don't go in 99 because it sounds like you're in sale mode. You can just smell the commission off it. Okay, that's my opinion. But from there, excuse me. from there, for the small investment today of only $148, we can ensure that your tires last as long as they should. Again, at $500 a corner for each of your tires, the last thing I want for you is to be coming back to me in next service needing a set of tires. And this is what I say to people as well, and I've had this conversation so many times, is that you don't wait to see wear on the engine before you do an oil change. You do an oil change to prevent wear. But what you'll see with tires is that the technician or the advisor will wait to see wear on the tire before they report and help the customer make an informed buying decision by creating a compelling message to help the customer say yes to a wheel alignment.
Yeah.
So why didn't you? If you don't do the wheel alignment, that customer's going to be back to you sooner needing tires, and it's a disservice to our customers, and that's our responsibility. But Cameron, the reason why they won't sell it on the driveway or on the phone or even over SMS or a report is because they're afraid of rejection. But what I say to people, what I say to service managers, that your service advisors are not afraid of rejection. They're afraid of not knowing what to say, because if they don't say it properly, they get rejected. The rejection doesn't happen because the customer can't afford it, doesn't have time, or doesn't make sense. The rejection happens because the advisor has not dialogued it properly, which in many ways means that it didn't make sense. That's the number one thing. But the thing about the excuse that the customer will use is they'll go, oh, I'll leave it for now. Oh, I'll do it next service. And then the advisor will go, oh, everything is too, inverted commas, expensive. It's not too expensive. And another word that I remove from service advisors, stop labeling things as expensive. It's not expensive. It might be a lot of money, or maybe the customer wasn't expecting that, but it's still our responsibility to dialogue it in such a way that it makes sense to the customer. And they would feel like, geez, if I don't get this done, this can happen. Or if I don't get this done, it's going to be more consequential damage to XYZ part of my vehicle. And it's my job as an advisor to help that customer, not to push, but to pull. And not knowing what to say is the biggest factor. Hence why I've built that specific software to help advisors to know exactly what to say.
Yeah, absolutely. But fundamentally, it's about educating the customer into making the decisions that they feel are right for them, isn't it? But that's the thing, when you try and educate someone into that space, being uneducated yourself, then therefore,
blind leading the blind.
Mind blown.
Yep.
Yeah.
It goes back to the 3 C's, right? Right.
Yeah,
there's a computer,
absolutely.
there's a chair, see you later, figure it out for yourself. And all they'll have is their DMS, maybe a coding tool, maybe an SMS tool, and that's it. And it's wild, man. It's the Wild West at the moment. And again, I've had this conversation a lot recently with OEMs and with dealer partners and dealer groups, and with the stuff that I've got coming, and we're not going to talk about that today because that's a little bit covert at the moment, but the stuff that I've got coming is going to revolutionize everything. I'm talking like digital job cards, fully paperless, quoting done using AI, a lot of really cool advancements that are going to change the industry in service specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. But to your point, these tools, like a lot of things that are technology and AI rated these days, is that they're, I think when people think about AI, they think about, replacing people, right? We're not talking about, these tools aren't going to replace a service advisor, but they are going to free up that service advisor's time so that they can pick up the phone, talk to that customer face to face, and do everything that we've just spoken about. That's where the efficiency increase, the productivity increase is going to happen, really, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's going to empower them. It's going to take away so many of the mundane tasks that they think that is the most important thing. Don't get me wrong, checking the customer in is the most important thing. Creating that relationship is the most important thing. But when I had a call this morning with New Zealand, and I've got a friend of mine who's just taken over a dealer group as Aftersales manager, and he was just kind of going in and doing his first observations. And he walked in, pretending to be a customer. And he walked up to the counter. The advisor was like, just a second. And the advisor goes, how you going? Like, not good morning. He was, hey, you going? And he goes, good, thanks. I'm just dropping my car off. Guess what the advisor said next, Cam?
Good. Yeah, what's your rego number?
Boom. Now, again, people listening will go, what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
That is that is not appropriate. It doesn't matter what brand you operate in, by the way. It doesn't matter where you are. There's a difference between a 3-star hotel and a 5-star hotel, and it's all about hospitality. The 5-star hotel makes you feel special and makes you feel like this is a connection, not a transaction, and I want to come back here again and again and again. A 3-star is like, do you want parking? Yeah. You're in room, blah, 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 up there.
Yeah.
It's a different experience because you're paying less money. A dealership is usually the most expensive place to service your car, and customers are expecting a higher level of experience. And if we don't offer that or don't create that by the words that we use, language, remember the gauge of words?
Yep, gauge, yep. It's there.
And then the customer goes, I don't know my registration number. Next question is, oh, what's your surname? Or what's it booked under? Or what's the phone number? Like, it's rubbish. It's rubbish. Good morning, welcome. How can I help? I'm dropping my car off for a service. Perfect, I can definitely help you with that. My name's Kieran, what's your name? Cameron. Great to meet you, Cameron. Cameron, can I start with your registration number, please? ABC123. Great, I found it. How's the car been going, Cameron? You're enjoying it? Yes, I am. Good to hear. So we got you in today for the XYZ service. As I can see, it's due for this, and this. We're going to be doing this, comprehensive check over. We're going to check everything from top to bottom just to make sure everything's as it should be. And we're going to take care of that one for you today. Other than that, though, you said the car is going well. Is there anything that you want me to pay special attention to while I've got the car with me today? There is. Tell me more about that. When did that first happen? When did you first notice it? How long has it been happening for? Is it on certain terrains? Is it at certain speeds? Is it in certain weather conditions? Great. What I'm going to do is I'm going to document that. I'm going to let my technician know exactly what you have said. And from there, and we can go from there. Is that fair? It is. Great. All I need is a quick autograph on the bottom of the job card and you're good to go. Stop asking for signatures. Start asking for autographs. Customers love it. Makes them feel good. You are issuing a tiny little bit of dopamine. And the more dopamine that you can release, or the more affection that customer can have for you because you're making them feel good, the more they'll like you. And that comes back to NPS and profitability. Like that, those first impressions make or break everything, Cameron, as you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's to your point earlier about non-technical, I think you're probably being optimistic, to be fair, about 75% people being non-technical. I think the number's probably higher than that in reality. But I think at the moment, I think the churn and staff turnover in the advisor space is very high. It's, to be fair, it's always been very high, but I think the burnout of advisors is definitely real for the reasons that you went into before, right? But a part of the charm of investing in that person to enter the building to begin with, and then keeping them in the building as secondary, it comes down to support. Comes down to education. It comes down to them upskilling and them, you being engaged to that individual, so therefore they will be engaged with you. That gives you the best chance of that person being an advisor and being in your business in some way, shape, or form in 5 or 6 years' time. I think what we've been speaking about today, in many ways, naturally, it's fundamentals, but for an inexperienced person,
it's the 101, Cameron.
That's right, yeah. But for an experienced person, it's a wheel alignment. It's preventative maintenance, isn't it? Because, I'm sure you've had people that in your classroom that have been advisors for many, many years and kind of approach any conversation with you as being, what can you teach me, young fella? I was doing this back in the day. So
a few of those.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's, and
many of those have become my greatest advocates because they're like, oh, I took this away from you and I multiplied it across my team. Useful.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm not for everyone, Cameron. I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and I'm pretty cool with that.
That's okay. Everyone's entitled to be wrong every now and again.
I love it.
There was a word you used earlier that I reckon is something that we should put into our vernacular, especially with advisors and how we interact with customers, and that's a 4-letter word that starts with C. Care.
My gosh, you did say it was R-rated.
I did that. I did that on purpose.
Sure.
But care, isn't it? At the end of the day, that customer, we're caring for your car and caring for you today. That's what we're here to do. It's a different paradigm to being, I'm here to sell to you today.
So I'll compliment what you're saying. I talk about this all the time, right? I've got an equation for trust. Okay, trust is made up of 2 things. Psychology suggests that it's made up of 2 things. The first one is care, like you mentioned. And to show someone you care is to display a level of empathy, and you can display that in your demeanor, in your words, in your tonality. And not everyone's got that, right? Not everyone's got that. But when someone comes in, they don't want someone who lacks empathy. They don't want someone who's going to be a bit of a jerk to them. They don't want that, right? You got me? Yep, cool. But then that's part one of the equation. But you might be the loveliest person and be caring and hospitable and all those things. But if I'm looking at you and you've got a trainee badge on, right? A trainee badge on your chest going, This person's brand new. This person doesn't know what they're doing. Doesn't matter to what level of care that they present to you. If this person is not competent, the ability to be helpful, they might want to be helpful, but if they haven't got the credentials or the experience on display, and bear in mind, like when you walk into a dealership, Cameron, which you do a lot, you walk into a new dealership, it's a new client, you walk in, you don't know how long that person has been in the chair for. You don't know. But you, in your wisdom, could figure it out pretty quickly and go, this person, they're lovely, but oh my gosh, they haven't got a clue what they're doing. And customers can see that too. Like if you walk into a coffee shop and you're like, can I get a cappuccino, please? And the person behind is like, yeah, just give me 1 second. This customer wants a cappuccino. What's that again? Oh, it's this, and this. Okay, cool. There was frappuccino or cappuccino? Sorry, cappuccino. Suddenly, you're like, this person's really nice. I like this person. But oh my gosh, if they don't know what a cappuccino is, I'm in trouble here. Like we need to present that competence and empathy, or what I call help, the ability to show help and the ability to care. And as a result, you get some level of trust. And bear in mind that this is the customer's second highest value investment that they've got, or second highest value asset that they have usually, and are giving you the key of it. And you might be a 21, 22-year-old service advisor who's on their first day. You are being given a certain level of importance, and there's a certain level of expectation that comes with that. But when we think about it, we give that service advisor 3 C's of service advisor training. And then what we do is we wait for the manufacturer to put on a training session, and we wait 6 months for that to happen.
Yes.
And we'll send you on the training in 6 months' time. Just watch the person beside you until that happens. And then that advisor doesn't even make the 6 months because they found the job, inverted commas, too hard. The job wasn't too hard. They weren't equipped. And I see it every day. And that's why it's called Service 101. It's the fundamentals. It's the basics. It's helping people to upskill themselves with a certain level of competence and empathy and care, or at least the illusion of that, to put the show on for our customers and to help them want to come back and buy the next car, and help them want to come back, or help them buy 100% of what the car needs or could benefit from 100% of the time. That's the job. It hasn't changed. Stop quoting, sending, and hoping. Start having conversations with customers that make sense and gets the customer to go, I'd be crazy not to buy this, wouldn't I? Yeah, you would. Cool. I love that, Cameron. Thank you so much. Happily give you $1,500, $2,500, $20,000 for whatever that is, because it makes sense and I trust you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. To our point earlier with, the advent of the technology piece, I know you've got some stuff that you're working on at the moment, and we won't go into that today necessarily, but do you have a bit of a vision of what 5 years from now looks like as far as the experience that a customer can have to complement naturally what we've been talking about, as well as the technology that's coming?
Cameron, I think about this all day, every day. I really do. And I've got some really cool people in my circle who I talk to about these things, who get it. I'm not talking people who are ex-sales or only work in sales, or dealer principals only working in sales, because they don't get it in the micro level. Like, what's the check-in process going to be? What's the update process going to be? I said it recently to a group that if you walked into this dealership in 1996 and today, the only difference would be the cars. Everything else is the exact same. So the innovations that are coming, and they're actually here, they're in pilot, right, are going to... I need to be careful how I word this, and I'm slowing myself down for a reason. Because if service advisors are not careful, and if they operate on a quote, send, hope mindset, they won't be needed. And that's a pause for effect, because it's up to us as service advisors. I'm a service advisor, right? Actually, I'm a service advisor, is what someone called me recently. Okay?
Yes. Advisor.
I love service advisors, but I'm seeing it far too often that they are transaction as opposed to relationship. If we want to retain our customers, we need to be given great experiences. If we don't give great experiences, our customers will go elsewhere because there's nothing sticky about it. Think about sales. During COVID, they tried to evolve the sales process. Oh, everything's going to go digital. Everyone's going to buy cars online. What happened? They didn't. Because they still wanted to look into someone's eyes and go, do I believe you? Am I going to buy that car from you? Specifically in Australia. Actually, do you know what? It's global because it's human to human.
Yeah.
But if we're operating on what's your rego? Are you booked in today? I don't see you on the list. I'm going to have to book it in for another day and get frustrated. And that advisor is getting frustrated because the person beside them didn't train them properly, or they don't know what they're doing. And we leave it up to chance. What's my point here? My point is that 5 years from now, it'll either be the exact same or completely different. And when I say completely different, I mean a fully digitalized service department where the role of the advisor is connection, is the host, is the updater, is the best friend, is the connector, and the administration and all that and important stuff is all done digitally and using a lot of artificial intelligence to drive that part of the experience that advisors don't need to be doing. There are products out there right now that are saying, give customers back the morning, give customers back the most important part of their day, and use a box to put the key into.
Yes.
It's a load of crap. It's a load of crap because the most
I'm
important part...
I'm not a believer in that as well. Yeah.
The most important part of the whole experience is that meet and greet. It's not a drop-off.
Yes.
It's not a check-in. It's not a...
Yes.
It's not a reception. It is a meet and greet. They are queuing up, hopefully not queuing up. They are scheduled to meet Cameron, and it's showtime.
Yes.
Cameron's my best friend. I trust Cameron. Cameron's going to take care of me and my car. That's advising in its truest, purest form, and it always has been. And there's this nonsense that's out there now where people are believing that, oh, I'm just an administrator, and I just send an odd text here and every day for an upsell. Give me a break. This is not how this works. I'm quite passionate about this, as you can tell and as you know. But that's what it's going to look like. Either the exact same for dealerships who don't want to evolve, the dealerships who work with me and use the technology that I've got, leveraging their DMS. It's going to be a different piece. They're going to make more money. They're going to have more satisfied and retained staff. They're going to have more equipped technicians. Their workshop controller, who is in fact the most important piece of the entire puzzle, they're the ones who are going to benefit from this, as opposed to pushing a piece of paper around, writing nonsense on the top of the piece of paper. The parts department are going to be able to track their lost sales. We have automated follow-ups. None of the nonsense that's happening right now in our market. And I know this because it's already in action. It's already in pilot. And I've got a lot of people who believe in what I'm doing, not just from a training perspective, but from a, hey, Kieran, you're going to revolutionize things here. And I'm not saying that to impress you, Cameron, or to impress your audience. I'm saying to impress upon them that if you don't like change, you're going to hate extinction. Get on board. There's going to be no choice. It's changing, and stop staying in your lane. Get on board is what I say, and don't be conned by salesmen.
That might be a good title for the podcast. If you don't like change, you're going to hate extinction.
Go for it.
I think true. I think naturally I think if what's the old saying? If nothing changes, nothing changes.
True. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. What's the one nugget that you would give to a DP, to an after-sales or a fixed operations manager, or even a service manager? What's the one little nugget that you would say, look at this month to make a change? What would that nugget be, do you think?
The inventory of the service department is the hours that we've purchased from our technicians. And I ask people all the time, is that if you have 100 hours available in a day, how many hours do you want to sell? And they'll tell me, 80, 90, 100. Now, some will tell me more than 100, and I'll go, interesting. How can you sell more hours than you have? How can you sell more inventory than you have?
That's easy. Time machine.
Time machine. Well, in fact, it is a time machine, Cameron. And in fact, we should be selling more hours than we have available. And that calculation is known as utilization or charging efficiency.
Yes. And
most people don't look at this. They look at efficiency and productivity as the only ones they look at. And I'm not going to go into the science of that right now, because each DMS and even each accounting firm will look at this slightly differently. And I'm not here to argue any of that. I'm here to go, if you've got 100 hours available, you need to sell 120. Now, some people will go to me, how can you sell more hours than you have available? And there's two usual answers that I get. The first one is the U word, and I'll go STFUP up. That's not the word we're going to use. It's not appropriate. We don't use that word.
Yes.
But don't get me wrong, selling additional work, which I label, it's not upsell, it's additional work. Selling additional work is absolutely a factor. But if you've booked your capacity to 100%, as in you've got 100 hours available and you booked in 100 hours, how can you sell more? How can you sell an extra 20 hours if you've already booked to capacity? And it's the E word, it's efficiency. But the thing about the E word is that people go, you got to be more efficient. But then if we think about it with our people, what is efficiency? Efficiency is the F word. Efficiency is just doing it faster. That's all it is. And how do you do it faster? You tell a technician that you don't even tell them how long it is. You tell them when you expect the job to come back. And as a result of that, if you say, this is going to be back in 45 minutes at 8 o'clock, it's an hour job, you found 15 minutes in the day. And if you find 15 minutes in the day 4 times, you have created an extra hour in the day. Multiply that by your technicians, suddenly you're up to that 120% utilization or charging efficiency. That's the secret sauce. But this is where the role of the workshop controller is the most important role.
Yes.
And people believe that the workshop controller is, all they do is they take a job card and they give it out and they take it back in. And
Yes.
it's so much more than that. It's an art and a science. The science says I've got 100 hours. That's all. And I said 100 hours. No, the art is you got 100 hours. You got to make it into 150. And the dealerships that I work with, and I work with a lot of dealerships, that's my number one KPI, is driving the profitability of that department. Because bear in mind that if you look at 1% in charge efficiency, you can calculate. And if people want to figure this out, send me an email. Cameron, you got my details. If you want to figure out what 1% charge efficiency is worth in gross profit per month and even net profit per month, it's going to open your eyes to what you're missing out on a daily basis. Because bear in mind as well, if you've got 100 hours in a day and you sell 80% of them, you sell 80 hours, your unapplied hours is going to be 20 hours at cost. Well, what about the 20 hours or 20 or even 40 hours that you could have sold at your retail or your prime labor or your effective labor rate? It's significant, but no one's talking about that. Well, the high performing teams are, but not the underperforming ones. That's the number one nugget.
To your point, to your point, that controller is key, isn't it? Because it could be something as fundamental as the timing of work, but it even comes down to the basic side of thing is, technician A loves doing that particular type of work, so therefore they're more efficient. Technician B doesn't, so they won't be as efficient. So it's understanding naturally your people and all of the variables that you have right in front of you.
Absolutely, but you got to ask the questions, right?
On that note, mate, I reckon it's been a great session, and hopefully people have got a lot out of it. I think they would have got a lot out of it, but even if you take one thing out of it, it's still beneficial. So I really appreciate your time. I'm going to put your contact details in the description so people can hit you up, so you don't need to go into that today. Do you want me to do that, or you don't want people to not contact you? You've put it out there often enough through the chat, so I'm figuring that you're open to people.
That's absolutely fine, man.
Engaging.
Absolutely fine. Yeah, easy.
Very good, mate. Appreciate your time, Kieran.
Anytime,
thanks very much, mate. Always a pleasure, and look forward to the next one.
Take care of yourself. Appreciate it. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, mate. You too. Cheers.
Thanks, Cam.
Thanks for taking the time to make it all the way to the end of this podcast. I'm sure you've got a lot out of it. I know I did. And every time I talk to Kieran, I feel like I'm a little bit more educated, and hopefully you've got the same experience too. The big takeouts for me with this episode is really the power of language and how we frame things for customers. I think language is very powerful, as we went into, and no doubt, hopefully you've learned that lesson as well. There's that message about there's more to service advising than the transaction. We need to focus on the experience, presentation, education, and mindset and support of our frontline people, whether they're new or whether they're the most experienced. So thanks again for taking the time to watch and listen to this episode. And if we're lucky, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks very much.
You've been listening to the Automotive Talent Show, where career stories, business journeys, and market insights come together from across the automotive industry. If you found value in this episode, follow the show and share it with someone in the industry. To learn more or connect with Cameron, search Automotive Talent on LinkedIn or visit automotivetalent.com.au. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.